Hello, my name is Cameron Appleton, and today we'll be looking at the concept of colonization and how it is shown in Aboriginal art forms. I'll be using the painting known as Story of Ma'awagu, finished in 2013 by Nancy McDinney of the Yinua and the Garawa people in the Gulf of Carpentaria. It is important to understand the concept of colonization, as it has had a massive impact on the identity of modern-day Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. The effects of the European invasion and their belief in terra nullius has had long-standing effects that are still prevalent today. These effects include separation from modern society, xenophobia, mistreatment, and other general forms of racism between the Aboriginal and European peoples of Australia. The violence caused by the invading British men caused the Aboriginal population of the Sydney area, approximately 5,000 to 8,000 of the Indigenous peoples, to fall to a mere 300 or less within 50 years, as stated by Brooke and Cohen. This level of death and destruction is not something that has been easily forgotten and is not the only nor the worst case in a mere 2 centuries of interaction, and reparations for these actions have been few and far between. This highlights the importance of understanding colonization in Australia and the effects it has had on the Indigenous communities within. The artwork I have chosen shows the conflict that developed between the Aboriginal and European peoples. This artwork was painted by Nancy McDinney and tells the story of her great-grandfather Ma'awagu, hence its name, Story of Ma'awagu. Nancy says about her grandfather in the painting, he was a Garawa man who resisted the white pastoralists in the early 1900s. The painting shows the time Ma'awagu escaped from the policemen and trackers who came to capture him. Ma'awagu was strong. He was fighting for his land and fighting for his people. Ma'awagu was fighting against the colonization of his and his people's land by the European settlers, land that had been under the care of Ma'awagu's people for thousands upon thousands of years before the Europeans came and claimed it for themselves. In the painting, you can see here that the policemen brought 7 men with guns in order to detain Ma'awagu, but obviously did not anticipate this level of resistance. Ma'awagu can be seen in chains, detained by the policemen, and in retaliation, one of his family group members attacked one of the policemen for attempting to kidnap Ma'awagu. Ma'awagu's kinsmen clearly outnumber the Europeans, but they choose to fight regardless, having their guns drawn, showing a level of arrogance that has become associated with British colonials. Judging by the appearance of the policeman who has been assaulted, it is possible he may not have been a white settler, but instead a tracker from another family group working with the policeman. I believe this may be the case as he does not have the white hair pieces of the other Europeans, but he shares the same facial coloration. This may show that he is considered a half-caste, or what may be referred to colloquially as a coconut, an Aboriginal who acts like a white man, which may be why this particular member of the European party was attacked. The painting describes the way that many Aboriginal communities were treated during the colonization era of Australian history, and shows the sorry state of affairs for the way the Aboriginal people were treated at the time. Nancy McDinney goes on to say about the story of the painting, in Ma'awagu's country, called Kalala Kinda, there is a river called the Falsh River. Inspector Paul Falsh was in charge of policing in the northern half of the Northern Territory from 1870 to 1904. He was responsible for masterminding the massacres of hundreds of Aboriginal men, women and children, including Garawa. We would like to change the name of the river and call it the Ma'awagu River. This illustrates the modern-day effects of colonization in Australia. The fact that this river is named after Inspector Falsh, a man responsible for antagonizing and terrorizing Aboriginal Australians of the day, is a slap in the face of the Aboriginal community when they refer to the river that their family groups have cared for millennia. For this reason, it is important to understand the effects of colonization in Australia and how it affects the Aboriginal groups of today. It is imperative that we learn from the mistakes made by our European ancestors and avoid the inconsiderate use of European names when referring to places long since named by the Aboriginal peoples of the area. I hope that everyone today can leave with the understanding that every name holds a certain level of power amongst those who use it, whether it is good or bad, and that we should consider who we may offend by using certain names. The Aboriginal peoples of Australia should not have to argue about their people's authority over their ancestral land and seas.